I did not do my own sound check this evening, that is on me. But I really appreciate you all for coming, for braving rain and traffic and committing to your own spiritual practice and your own spiritual flow. Hooray for all of you. I love that I didn't have to tell you to clap for yourselves like you knew. That's what you're supposed to do next. That's awesome. So the amazing Amy Steinberg also drove all the way from San Diego. And Amy Steinberg is such a treat, y'all. Like, I can't even fully convey what you all have committed to yourselves by showing up here today. So I introduce the amazing Amy Steinberg.
All right. Out of the car, into the space. How's everybody doing? Are we so excited to be here? Are we going to be uncensored? Fuck yeah! Is that okay? You could go ahead and tiptoe through your life, digging in the dirt, you can stress on the stride. I'm gonna fly past the worry and the pain today. See, I have fans. Alright. You can cry all night about the things that you hate, so dissatisfied so many ways, but I'm gonna find a way to celebrate today. I'm flying on faith. I'm flying on faith. I picked up my baggage and I threw it out the door. Not looking back, because the past is such a bore. I'm gonna stand with the moon, with the stars up in my face today. Today, I'm flying on faith. Now you know that part. I'm gonna have everybody do that part. Today, I'm flying on faith. Yes. Don't you love the reverb in this room? Hey! You can hope for the worry, let the fear take you out. Imagining the worst, overcome with doubt. No way to know, no is the way today. I'm flying on faith. I'm flying on faith. Today I'm flying on faith. Alright, you're gonna finish this line for me. I picked up my baggage and I threw it out the door. Not looking back, because the past, it's such a stinking bore. I'm gonna stand with the moon, with the stars up in my face. Today, we have a drummer today, so. Alright, is that a lot? Is that a lot for you?
Uncensored stuff right here.
You can go ahead and tiptoe through your life, digging in the dirt, stress on the strife. I'm gonna fly past the worry and the pain today. I'm flying on faith.
And I realized, first, I'm flying on faith by the fact that I had intended to have a PowerPoint to keep myself on structure, on path, and that doesn't work today. So I'm flying on faith that this is all working out today. That means that even though I didn't introduce myself to you at the very top, I remembered that I'm going to do it now. So I am Reverend Karen Frost. And Uncensored really is, that we believe that because God is everywhere in everything, God therefore must be uncensored. I come from the Centers for Spiritual Living, which was founded by Audra Nichole. It's the Science of Mind, the book that he's most known for. And it's this idea, there are two major principles in the Science of Mind. The first is that God is everything, so that's where the whole uncensored situation came out of. And the second is that we live in a law of cause and effect, or the law of cause and effect is operating at all times. And so I feel like no matter what religion anybody comes from, generally people believe that even if they don't believe in God itself, that everyone knows that physically energy is everywhere. There is no place, no space where energy is not. And so we substitute the idea of energy as God, that this is a positive thing that's happening. The reason that I'm able to have this conversation with you all, that this mic is working the way that it is, that energy allows for all of this to unfold, and energy allows for us to choose, make a decision. We can choose the events of our lives. We can look at them from a place of lack, or we can choose to fly on faith. We can choose to know that when we choose faith, good things happen. And when good things don't happen, but we pick faith anyway, it still feels good. So the entire purpose of Spirit Uncensored is to create that space for us to explore what God is for each other individually, knowing that because energy is everywhere in everything, there is no one definition of God that each one of us has. And this is a safe space to play in that and explore and not feel like the restrictions of language, or if the way that you end a prayer is with Amen or Aho or Ashe. However, whatever word works for you to end prayer, we invite you to do that here. And so, also, while you're here, this is not a space where your phones are not allowed, because we're uncensored. So, I mean, if it rings, it rings, like, whatever. I would ask if you put it on vibrate, but take selfies. Like, post on Facebook what it is that you, what's the point of going to church if you don't check in and say, hey, I'm at church, so the whole internet knows that this is where you are. Yes, Audra Nichole in the front row is taking a selfie with her friends, and Audra also came from San Diego, and I heard her speak at Seaside, and I said, will you come to Spirit Uncensored? And she said yes immediately. So I'm so grateful that we have San Diego in the house representing today. So feel free to check in on Facebook. On Facebook, we are Spirit Uncensored. We have a Spirit Uncensored Facebook group that is now called Spiritual Sluts.
Yeah.
The reason it's called Spiritual Sluts is because this is a once-a-month experience, and we would hope that your spiritual practice is not specific to this one day per month. And so this is intended to be supplemental, a complement to what you're already doing. And whether that involves a community, whether it doesn't involve a community, whatever your spiritual practice looks like, theoretically, you want to diversify your spirituality portfolio in the same way that you want to diversify your socks. And so it's a way to keep yourself fed. And so we identify as Spiritual Sluts, but if you got beef with that name, feel free to tell me afterwards. We are open to receive, I am open to receive feedback, and because this month is focused on Don't Take It Personal, which is the second agreement of the 4 agreements. So this is the month that to stand in faith and stand in principle, I cannot take any of your feedback personal. So feel free to give that to me after the fact. I might even have an opportunity where I stick a mic in your face and ask you for some. So that is who we are, that's what we're about. And Amy is going to really ground us in spirituality. I really just want to sort of preface the significance of this song for me. I actually met Amy. I was introduced and heard of Amy the entire time that I've been in this teaching. Her reputation precedes her, as you can see. That's why people in the room knew her songs earlier. That I knew she was amazing, but I listened. She had a whole library on Spotify and Google Play, and I felt like I needed the Amy experience. And so at Next Gen, she just happened to be the featured performer at the Next Gen retreat. Woo! Next Gen CSL. Next Gen CSL, or nextgenretreat.org. Registration is open right now, and I heartedly recommend this. And Amy was the featured performer at that. And Shine Be Glorious, we sang maybe in the 3rd day in the morning, and this retreat, everybody says this about retreats. Like, when you go to a good spiritual retreat, you're moved. Something significant happens. You are not the same person that you were when you walked in. And this retreat was literally the most profound retreat I've ever been on, ever. And at that point, I had been a minister for 2 years and didn't really know why I was a minister. The entire time I was in ministerial school, I felt like I would figure it out. Then I became a minister and people asked me to speak, and I was showing up in speaking places, but still people were saying, what are you doing with this ministry? And I had no idea. And Next Gen clarified that for me. And so at this retreat, sitting on the floor, Amy started singing this song, and tears just flowed from my face, and I realized that this is what I came here to be. The lyrics of this song is why I am a minister. Wow.
So I want to give a little preface as well to this song, which is that something that was missing for me for a while in my New Thought journey. My spiritual journey started in the 12-step world, where the key to getting clean and sober through the 12 steps is powerlessness. And that really worked for me for a long time, changed my whole life. And then about 10 years ago, so I'm sober since I was 5 years old, is basically what I'm trying to say. If you're doing math here. I was introduced to these centers, and I figured out that I have the power.
Yeah.
And then about a year and a half ago or so, I hit a new kind of bottom where I forgot about half of the New Thought teaching. Because I took foundations 10 years ago, but I forgot that, yeah, I have the power, but I'm not the power. Like, I am the power, but I'm not all of it. I am all the power. That's the weird thing. We are the whole ocean in one drop, but I can surrender still. I can worship still. I can praise still. I kind of thought those things were taken away from me in New Thought, and I was like, oh, I don't do that praise thing. And then just recently, I moved to San Diego. I would sneak off to the Rock, this evangelical, they play that rock music, that worship music. And I would go for the vibration, not for the words. Anytime the words would start, it would be sort of this, I'm nothing without you, Lord. I am a sinner, and you redeem me. And so the words really kind of threw me off, but the vibration was incredible, this sort of like droning energy. So I said, I'm going to bring that energy to New Thought. And that's how the song was birthed. So, and this is the title track off my latest CD. So. Shine, be glorious, reflect the divine. Shine, be glorious, reflect the divine. Spirit of mine, Spirit divine, let me shine your I open my heart, even in the dark. The light of my God always shines bright, even in the night. Shine, be glorious, reflect the divine. Shine, be
one of our lives is to be a vessel of love. There's so many people forgetting that. And each one of us are here to be reminded of the fact that this is what we came here to be. We didn't come here to accomplish something specific, to check off things on a to-do list, to be something specific. We came here to love unconditionally in a world where that's so hard to remember. We are committed to being that. And when we remember that our purpose is to be a vessel of love, not only do we create greater experiences in our own lives, but we serve as an example, as a representation of the fact that love creates blessings. When we choose to love, blessings flow. We serve as examples of how God works, of how life works, of how love works, and get to truly stand in purpose with who we are. So let's affirm knowing this together by repeating after me. Amen.
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 Ashe.
Ashe.
Aho.
Aho.
Shalom.
Shalom.
And so it is.
And so it is. Shine, be glorious. Reflect the divine. You can't help it. Shine, be glorious. Reflect the divine. Spirit of mine. Spirit divine. Let me shine your light. Yeah.
Thank you, Amy. Can we get one more time for Amy Steinberg? Changing the world with her power and awesomeness. I am so, so grateful. And somebody else who is changing the world with their power and awesomeness. And I should say that I didn't just invite her to speak because I saw her one time at Seaside and said, oh yeah, you should come do this here. Audra is one of the leaders of Next Gen, and I really got to see how she creates a safe space. I've never actually seen a, let's say, a spiritual context where each person in the room is invited to identify what works for them individually and agree on that together as a group. She does this thing at the start of everything that she does of everyone comes up with a list of agreements. And this list of agreements is affirmed by everyone in the room. If someone in the room is not cool with that, then it doesn't go on the list. And so it helped create this, there was this fluidity, this really individualized experience for each person to identify what they need, what works for them, what serves them, where there was fluidity but structure at the same time. And what she's doing with this Next Gen movement of really the purpose, the necessity of the Next Gen movement is that in the Centers for Spiritual Living organization, people who are 19 to 45 are a significant minority. And what that means in any context, whenever you have a significant minority, minorities feel like they're left out of the conversation. Minorities feel like their needs are not being served. And Audra has stepped up to that plate to create not only a space for them, a space for inspiration, a tailored space for them, but on top of that, really advocates for the Next Gen across the movement, across the organization. So I'm so grateful to know her, to be inspired by her, to work by her side in the ways that I do. Audra Nichole.
Thank you. Wow. Gotta live up to all that. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
How's everyone doing? Yeah?
Fucking amazing.
I love you, John.
I love you too.
That's literally his name in my phone. I love you, John. I am so humbled and honored to be here with each of you tonight. It's a Sunday night, tomorrow's Monday, hustle, bustle, and each of you chose to be here in the rain. Time is the most precious thing that we have, and you decided to invest your time with each of us here tonight together, and I don't take that lightly. So thank you for being here in this experience together. These two women are some of the most incredible women I have ever met in my entire life. And I'm so humbled and excited to share this thing called Spirit Uncensored. Spirit Uncensored is, to me, is the perfect verbiage of this thing that we're doing. We call it raw authenticity and next gen. These two ladies up here, two of my other favorite ladies in the whole wide world, they are my goddess crew. They're two of the crew. And we live Spirit Uncensored. And what that means to us is unapologetic, authentic, unconditional love. That means not just when you're cute and happy and sunshine and roses and butterflies. That's great and all. And we have a lot of fun there. But some days it's not that. We call it bees in our bonnets. I started because I went through the negative phase first. When we all got together, my shit hit the fan before theirs did. So I coined, we'd all go out, we'd have our things, and I'd say, I know it's a night to go out, and I want to go, but I feel like I need to warn you before we go out. I've got the bees in my bonnet tonight, so is it cool if I come? Is it not cool? Where are we at here? And they said, yes, come anyway. And I never had that before. I never had a space in a group where it didn't matter. It didn't matter if you couldn't put on your mask for the day, if you couldn't put on the makeup that you needed to fit in, to do. But these women gave me that. And that's what Next Gen is all about. Because one of the core tenets is not to take things personally. It's the only way it works. Because the truth of the matter is none of your bullshit has anything to do with me. Now sometimes I like to think that it does, because, a little self-centered like that. But we all are. That's how it works. Because we only see the world through our eyes. That's it. There's no other viewing screen. It's just our eyes. So it's always about us. And sometimes we like to make that wrong and judge each other for it. But it's what we're all doing. There's nothing wrong with it. So how do we do that? How do we not take things personally? Now, when Karen first asked me to speak and she told me that this was the topic, I was so excited at first. I was like, oh, that's spectacular. I learned that the hard way. I've totally got this. I can totally talk about that. Yeah, about that. So what happened the following weeks was a whole bunch of opportunities to practice that. Like a whole bunch. They came out of every which way. So then I was a little upset. Because I didn't feel like I needed the practice at the time. So here I am, even more humbled, with a little bit more practice these last few weeks. There are two ways. I'll rewind. How many of y'all are actually reading the book?
Like 17 times.
Or have read it in the past? Oh wow, okay. Thank you for that question. That changed the entire sample. Alright. Okay, so we all know what we're talking about. Okay, so I don't need to bring that. Okay. So let's do this. If everyone could just close their eyes for a second. Go with me. Just close your eyes. It's an average sunny day. You're on a street corner in a neighborhood that you would walk in on occasion, walk through. And you're at a stoplight. The light changes and you go to cross the street. There's another pedestrian walking towards you from the other side. Now, when you guys get to the middle and meet, they say to you, they smile, they look at you and they say, wow, you look so great today. I hope you're having a great day. And then y'all just go about your day. So that happened. walking a couple blocks later, you're at another intersection, the light changes, you cross the street, there's another pedestrian coming your way. When you get to the middle, they say, "Man, you must be a real son of a bitch." And they keep walking. And they go your separate ways. Now open your eyes and come back to the room. Now nothing changed in either of those scenarios other than something someone said. Someone you didn't know, who didn't know you, who knew nothing about you. Now what's even more interesting about the fact that we have an actual experience in two situations, even though nothing's changed, is the diversity of experiences that each of us has in those experiences. And what do I mean by that? Now in the first scenario, someone says something nice. Now some of us in the room, when they imagined that scenario, it felt good. Like, ooh, yeah, thanks. But for some people, it wasn't a pleasant experience. For some people, it was, what do you know? How do you know that? Why would you say that? You must have been talking to me. Same thing with the other scenario. For some people, it was like, yeah, you're right. I am a son of a bitch. It's interesting that you knew that, but okay. For some of us, it was, what? Who are you talking to? None of it had anything to do with us. Debbie Ford was a phenomenal teacher. For those of you who don't know her, she did a lot of work in what's called shadow work, which is really diving into the deep, dark places within ourselves, looking at them, shining a light on them, and doing the work. Now, when we're talking about what someone does and how that affects me, there's two scenarios. The one scenario is where you're aware of that. You can witness something happen. Maybe one of those situations you could really imagine that that had nothing to do with you. You're just unattached. But the other scenario is where you're triggered. So you can either witness something completely unattached, or you're triggered. Now sometimes we find ourselves more triggered with those we're in intimate relationships with, where if someone that I love says a sentence to me, it triggers me, but if a stranger said the same sentence, not triggered. It's the same sentence, it's the same information. So what's up with that? If you're triggered, it's yours. It has nothing to do with them. And that's really hard to swallow. But that's what this life is. It's a beautiful experience. It's opportunities to connect with self and the divine. Because that's all it is. It's self, and what is self? Self is a drop of that ocean, and the divine. So if all there is self and a drop, but then here you are. What are you if that's all that there is? You're another drop. And you're also just divine. It's only divinity expressing. So in every situation, the easy ones are when you can witness you're unattached. That has nothing to do with me. The hard ones. So one little tool I like that I've learned, if you can imagine, sorry about that. If you can imagine holding up a sign, almost like those old dating shows where it's like, yes on one side, no on the other, the paddle ones, right? Dating myself here a little, that's right. So imagine you're holding a sign. And imagine on the side that's facing you. No, forget about that side. On the other side that's not facing you, imagine that says, yes. Oh, yeah. That's very interesting. Yes. All of those affirmative responses, whichever one you like the most. Now on the side that is facing you, that one says, this has nothing to do with me. This has nothing to do with me. You have a choice. In every moment, you can think of that sign. And if you're feeling triggered and you're not interested in exploring what's triggering you, you can choose to remind yourself that this has nothing to do with you. Or, if you are triggered and you are upset, you can ask what this has to do with me. What am I so upset about? What hurts here? And what you'll find is the only thing that hurts is some grain of what they're doing or saying that you're believing is true about you. If that person on the side of the street or walking on the street that said, "You're a son of a bitch," if that pissed you off or hurt, there's a part of you that thinks that you're a son of a bitch and that that's not a good thing. There's a judgment present. And it's an opportunity to notice it, to heal it if you so choose, but you don't have to. It's okay to just let it be. But I would encourage you to remember, in those moments when someone is having some experience, you don't have to take it on. And that doesn't have to just be strangers. You're out at a restaurant with your beloved, the table next to you, they're being irate. That has nothing to do with you. Or you're at home and your beloved is upset about God knows what, ranting and raving. Not that I'm encouraging abusive relationships, I'm just, people get upset. That has nothing to do with you. And it's not your responsibility to fix it. And it's not their responsibility to fix you. I mean, think about that. People get upset because you're not doing the thing that they need you to do in order to be happy. And then they call you selfish. I'm selfish because I didn't do what you needed me to do the way that you needed me to do it. I'm so selfish. It has nothing to do with me. And it has nothing to do with you. And I will tell you one thing that happened since I was told this is what I was going to be talking about. I was in my office, and it was the end of the day, and there had been a situation a week or two prior where I had been in conversation with someone, and they exited the conversation in a way that I felt like they were upset. And I felt like it was because of some miscommunication, because I didn't understand why they were upset at that moment. So I decided to make a mental note to follow up with them, clean it up. Fast forward, one evening, they walk by my office. I say, "Oh, hey, so glad you're here. Do you have a moment? I'd love to speak with you." I said, "Sure, then come on in." And they sit down and I'm like, "So, about the other week, I felt like there was something there. Maybe we should clean that up. Anything we should say? Maybe I could communicate something differently." Oh heavens, that was all it took. They said, "Oh, I thought we were talking about this, that, I don't want to talk about me." Oh, okay. Well, unbeknownst to me, I was opening a can of worms. This person got up, started yelling about how horrible I was, how horrible the company was, how horrible all of their experience had been for years, all because of some decision that someone said that I made that I didn't make. And on and on and on. There was volume, there was movement. It was an experience. It was only myself and a fellow colleague in the office at the time, and I smiled, I nodded. And what I did in that moment was love them just as much as I could. Because I have been angry in my life. I have yelled. I have said things that were not pretty. And any time that I had ever done that, I did it from pain. And I knew in that moment that that had nothing to do with me. That there was pain. I didn't know what the pain was. I didn't know where it came from. I didn't know how to fix it. But I also knew it wasn't my job to fix. In this life, we meet up with each other at different moments for different experiences. Some people come into our lives to love us, to teach us something, to show us a new way. I believe that it's all for learning, it's all for growing. I believe that it's always for our highest and best. And in that moment, I knew that it was the perfect time. I was the perfect person that day for that experience to happen for that other person. Because that day I was grounded. That day I was clear-headed. That day I did not take it personally. I didn't feed into it. I didn't argue. And that was what they needed. Sometimes you just need someone to yell at. Not because it has anything to do with them, but because of whatever's going on with you. We don't know what each other is going through. We don't know what each other is battling. There's so much we don't know. So, if you can remember anything in those moments, I hope that you can remember to not take it personally, and to just love them, and to love yourself. That's all I got.
I'm so glad you did. Thank you for doing that. And Amy Steinberg her and I went like back and forth around what the song was going to
I
be.
decided a different one.
Oh, all right. I am in for a surprise. I'm flying on faith.
So when you were talking, I was really moved by that idea of this sign, right? This has nothing to do with me, and yes. And the deciphering, deciding, making choices, and that's what the song's about. I say yes to the goodness, I say yes to the love, I say yes to abundance, raining down from above. I say yes, I say yes, I say yes, okay. I say yes to forgiveness, I say yes to God, I say yes to the moment, bringing me such positive thoughts. I say yes. I say yes, yes. I say yes, yes. But hell no. No to the darkness, no to the fear, no to the voices that scream about despair. I say yes to the glory, to the light, yes to the voices that sing out with might. We sing yes, yes. We sing yes, yes. We sing yes, yes. Hey! I say yes to surrender. I say yes to grace, yes to the beloved. Looking back at me when we're face to face, I say yes to authentic, I say
for a moment. Yes. I do say yes. Saying yes to all those things that Amy was talking about just now was a work in progress for me. And as I, let there be light, I say yes to light. Saying yes to all those things, learning how to do that was a work in progress for me. And the Centers for Spiritual Living was the first place that I went that taught me how to do those things. I committed to sitting in those seats every Sunday because I noticed that when I didn't sit in that seat on a Sunday, I was a bitch all week. And I noticed that, and so I said, okay, I cannot miss one of these. And when I moved here to LA, flew on faith, came to LA to try and break into television, and I wasn't getting there. So I was sitting in these seats trying to learn how to make the law of attraction work. And in the process, I became a minister. That's why I became a minister. It was not because I wanted to stand here. It was because I was trying to figure out how the law of attraction works. And that's how many classes I needed to figure out how it works. Cause and effect. Theoretically, it's just that simple. But really, it's about training your thoughts. It's about being conscious around your thought and making different decisions. And Black History Month is February. Black History Month is a topic that I have taken personal throughout my entire life. My relationship to my identity was something that I took personal for a giant chunk of my life. And it makes sense. Like, I'm a half Black, half Jewish lesbian. It makes sense that I had issues with identity. That's not a weird thing. But what I learned about it is, as I grew up, because you're a kid and you're just trying to figure out what's going on and how to think what about what. In my experience, I grew up in the north side of Chicago, which is the less diverse side. Well, actually, both sides are not diverse. One's the Black side and one's the not Black side. And I lived on the not Black side. And in my experience, I came across just a limited amount of Black people in my life. It was my family, and then like 1 or 2 people in schools as I went through. And Black History Month was always something that made me really uncomfortable because it was just the one time in school where they said, here are some people who've made achievements in Black history. And the big question really is, what is it about these people? Are there only these 5 people? Those 5 people are like, who's the number one? I don't even have to tell you. Who's the number 1 person? Martin Luther King, right? And yes, he really was, he's the reason we say that is he really did do something substantial and significant. But America is who decided, our history books, somebody decided somewhere along the way that he is the most important figure for us to learn. And that the I Have a Dream speech, of all of the speeches, the I Have a Dream speech is the one that's most important for us to learn. And Martin Luther King said some things that were considered very controversial at the time, and said things that would still be considered very controversial. But I didn't learn about any of those things in Black History Month. I had to learn about that from the internet further down the line. YouTube introduced me to the Beyond Vietnam speech that he gave. That is considered one of those more radical kinds of speeches. And I just had this sort of heat around the way that we talk about race in this country. And in 2019, the rest of the country feels that way too. I'm not the only one feeling like there's heat in the way that we talk about race. But my favorite part of it is that we're having the conversation. Because for what feels like all of my life until the Black Lives Matter movement came about, we weren't actually having the conversation. There were, in my experience, it was Black people had their own conversations kind of internally, but in regards to having there be a megaphone of saying, no, look, let's talk about this. We cannot pretend like the way that African Americans got here and the way that we have evolved in this country over time, we have to have a conversation about this. We cannot just talk about slavery in February and talk about Martin Luther King in February and be that all we learn as a country. We have to do something different. And so right now that conversation is taking place, and a lot of people are taking things personally around that conversation because it's really hard to have. And this teaching has really taught me how not to do that. And the experience of feeling that way actually came out of my experience as a black and as a white person. So as a kid growing up, black kids made fun of me. White kids did not make fun of me to my face. White kids did not say, well, I don't know, I can't, but specifically like, black kids would say things like, I talked really white. I told Ronnie the story of, there's this Chinese song that I like your smell, do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So I had this hat that I was wearing in college, and this group of black girls I don't even know would just sing that song to me everywhere I went. And I'm like, who are these women? And I knew it was because of the hat. And I took that personally. I said, why are these women singing this song to me? Why do black people make fun of me everywhere I go? What I didn't know is that there's a culture of black folks just making fun of each other. That's just a thing. Like, the dozens is a thing. Your mama so is just a thing. These women were not singing this song to me deliberately to make, it wasn't about making fun of me. It was, hey, we notice you, we see you, you remind us of Shanice. Come and laugh with us. But I was so disconnected from the black community that I had no clue. And as I got like my first black girlfriend in college, like I said, I was separated from I was in mostly white spaces. So this is the first time I was in a space where black people were making fun of me everywhere I went. It was really, really overwhelmed by that. And I dated my first black girl. My first black girl taught me things like that. And I learned how to take it, how to build a thick skin, not to take it personally when somebody is making fun of me. And I realized because I had identity issues my entire life, I knew there was no such thing as fitting in. I had to embrace the fact that who I am is exactly who I should be. I had to learn my authentic self is what's important. And on top of that, we always have all these things like be yourself, but I felt like I didn't fit anywhere, so I felt like I couldn't be myself. But really, none of us do fit anywhere, right? Like we just don't. It's not about fitting in. Life is not about these are the boxes and this is where you should stand. It's about how do we love more, like I said at the top. What we came here to do is to love. And part of that loving is doing something specific that you love, having the things that you do in your day be things that you love. I mentioned at the very top of this that I moved to Los Angeles specifically because I wanted to use TV as a medium to inspire positive change. And I kept being stuck in working in reality TV. Reality TV is not about making positive change. But I was lucky, because I was clear on my personal intention, I only worked for production companies and managed to only work in places that's what the objective of the company was, and that's what the objective of this show was. My friend Devin is here, and Devin and I worked on the show The Fosters together, which is a show that's great with representation. It has a half black, half white lesbian at the center of it. So I've landed at places that have been absolutely perfect for me, and right now I'm working at Viola Davis's production company as an executive in television, what I always wanted to do in scripted. And at the same time, I'm a minister. And lately, this week, as I've been sitting in this, not wanting to take things personal, I've been getting a whole lot of feedback about my experience as an executive and my experience as a minister. A lot of people have things to say about my performance in general. And I was really allowing that to stress myself out about it. I was at church 2 weeks ago. Reverend Cliff was like, do you need some prayer? And I was like, yeah, I really do. And so he reminded me that what I came here to do is love, that it's not to check off things on a checklist. It's not to be who all of these other people think I should be as a minister, as an executive. I came here to love. And the next day, Ronnie asked me, my wife Ronnie said, what do you need? If we could do anything, if we had money to go towards something, what can we do? And I said, I could use an assistant. And Ronnie's like, that's not really what I meant. I meant like, if you wanted like a logo redesign, or maybe like we can boost some marketing for Spirit Uncensored, I can't really help you with that assistant thing. But I was like, oh, but God can. Now that I know this, God can. And I have a weekly prayer with a friend of mine in Chicago, and so we met for prayer, and I said on Wednesday, I know that I don't need to know how, but that I am ready for an assistant. and there's a new person sitting in who used to be one of our interns. And I said, oh, did we get a new office manager? Yes, I am the new office manager. I go in the kitchen, I make my coffee. She says, oh, I can get your coffee. You like hazelnut? Yes, she knows how I like my coffee already. When she was an intern, she did this for me. And she said, what are your scheduling preferences? Everybody else's scheduling preferences. What are yours? And I was like, what do you mean? Why are you asking me this? And she said, I will manage your calendar. I'm going to be your assistant. What are your preferences? And I said, I just have to like sit and be grateful for this moment, right? Like I wasn't ready. Like when I said yesterday that I was ready for an assistant, I didn't expect to walk into work today and have there be one here. So I can really process, what do I want now that this is here? And so I just got all of these perfect reminders that I don't have to take other people's ideas of what I should be, but that the lessons themselves identify the question, what do I need? If this isn't working for me, if I'm not happy with how things are, what do I need? Okay, what I need is this. How do I get it? I don't need to know how. All I need to know is what I need and trust that now that I've identified what that need is, that it's manifested. I don't need to know. So, I say all this to say that whatever it is that's going on, whether you've got identity issues, ideas of how things are supposed to be, how people are supposed to show up, what Black History Month is supposed to look like, and how often it should be celebrated. I encourage you to do whatever it is that works best for you individually. If you want to celebrate Black history every day of the year, celebrate Black history every day of the year. Be that change that you wish to see in the world. Post those Martin Luther King quotes in October. Be a rebel. So as I'm going to close all this in prayer. So I invite you to get comfortable in your seats. I love that Amy knows where I'm going. Thank you for teaching me behind me. I appreciate that. I invite you to get comfortable. Closing our eyes, that's what feels comfortable for you. Really grounding ourselves in the space, in the present. Recognizing just what a gift the present moment is. That we get to make any decision that we want in this present moment. And whatever that decision we make, the universe says yes to. So in this moment, let's pick good thoughts. Let's say yes to good things. Let's allow whatever it is that needs to be known, to let go of whatever it is that needs to be let go of. To know that our purpose in life is truly to love ourselves, each other, the life that we created for ourselves, knowing that we have everything that we need. This universe is absolutely abundant. There's more than enough food, more than enough water, more than enough love, more than enough opportunities to express ourselves creatively however we want. Whether that's pretending to be a character in a TV show, playing a piano, speaking on a stage, however, whatever life that we want to lead is our divine choice. And the gift of this present moment allows us to recognize that we get to make any choice we want right now. And the universe says yes to it. So I am so grateful for each one of us who has shown up today to say yes to life, to forgiveness, to love, to peace, to knowing that there is no reason to take anything personally, ever. And I am so grateful for each one of us showing up in the way that we are, being the spiritual sluts that we are.
Yes.
Knowing that our participation, our commitment to our souls allows us to experience life from a greater place of love, awareness, compassion, and understanding. And I am so grateful to know this, to speak this, as we affirm together by repeating after me. Amen. Amen. Aho. Ashe. Shalom. And so it is. Namaste.
Thank you so much. You are such a treasure.
Thank you.
Isn't she a treasure, y'all? Thank you for doing this. Creating this safe, slutty space.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. And since you're already there, drunk and talk shit. But there's some like spiritual wisdom in there too. Maybe sometimes this last one is called drunk and bickering, so there's a little less spiritual wisdom in that one. But all of that stuff is on the newsletter if you sign up for it. And we are going to move into financial giving. So, in addition, if you are somebody who is a next-genner and does not carry cash, like me, I have no cash on me ever, we do accept Venmo. Spirit Uncensored is who we are on Venmo, and we also take PayPal on our website at spirituncensored.org. So feel free to give any one of those ways. And Audra, I'm going to invite you up here so that you're ready when we move into prayer. Amy's going to kick us off into, this is literally one of my very favorite prosperity songs ever in the whole world.
If you have an offering, or if you just want to place your hands on your heart, that would be great. Let's just get in that place of gratitude. And just repeat after me. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies my gifts, my gratitude, my love. All is well. I am so rich. I am so rich. So rich, so rich, so rich, so rich, so rich, so rich we are. So rich, so rich, so rich, so rich, so rich, so rich we are. So rich. One of the things that makes me rich is I travel around with my jewelry and my art and my music. So after this, come help me be the rich person that I am. And let's sing together. So rich. Sing it with me. So rich, so rich, so rich, so rich, so rich, so rich we are. So rich, so rich, so rich, so rich, so rich, so rich we are. Dripping in joy, dripping in peace, dripping in love, we have everything we need. Dripping in joy, dripping in peace, dripping in love, we have everything we need. So filthy, stinking rich, hey, crack, tap, tattoos spilling up my veins, digging on the decadence, goodness reigns. Queen bee being on the throne of ease, rich with infinite potentialities. We think money has value. Listen, it's paper, electronic transmission. You get what you give. We are unique. We breathe. Cannot just give, cannot just receive. Law of circulation, money secondary. You have an essence only you can carry. As I advance on my journey, I see there is a power for good and it can use me. Yeah. Sing it with me. So rich, so rich, so rich, so rich, so rich, so rich we are. So rich, so rich, so rich, so rich, so rich, so rich we are. Let me hear you. So rich, so rich, so rich, so rich, so rich, so rich we are. So rich. Say it with me, y'all. Yes, 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 yes. Woo! What I know is that we are so rich in so many ways. Monetarily rich, lovingly rich, wealthy and healthy and joyous in so many countless ways. Knowing that Spirit is all that there is in and through all things, infinite. I know that the infinite possibility comes through each of us here tonight. I know that this thing called Spirit Uncensored is Spirit expressing and therefore is perfectly provided for with grace and ease, because Spirit says yes to the good that is, to the good desires that are breathed through each one. In this sacred time, I know that as this bounty arrives, it is multiplied and returned to those who give, because you cannot outgive Spirit. So to this I say thank you. Grateful for all of the miracles that have already come, those rapidly approaching, those that have been seen and those that will never be known.
Let us close out together. Let us say, and so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming, everyone, tonight. My eyes are wide and open. My eyes can see. My mind is full of knowing. My mind believes. I'm awake. Sing it with me. I am awake. I am awake. Nice. Once you know your freedom lies, you can't go back and close your eyes. The truth that cannot be denied. You want the light, you want the light, you want the light. You want the light, you want the light, you want the light. Did you have a good time tonight? I really like church in the evening. It feels right, especially for us slutty ones. Ladies of the night. My heart is clear and growing. My heart can see. And my soul is full of knowing. My soul believes. I'm awake. Here we go again. I am awake. Believe it, know it, say it. I am awake. Once you know when your freedom lies, you can't go back and close your eyes. The truth that cannot be denied. You want the light, you want the light, you want the light. That's right. You want the light, you want the light, you want the light. All right, we're gonna break it down with a clap. We got. Once you know when your freedom lies, you can't go back and close your eyes. The truth that cannot be denied. You want the light, you want the light, you want the light. Turn to someone and remind them, tell them. You want the light, you want the light, you want the light. Pick somebody new. You want the light, you want the light, you want the light. All right, I'm gonna give you a harmony. It goes. You are the light, you are the light, you are the light. We're gonna harmonize. You got it? You are the light, you are the light, you are the light. You guys keep that going, okay? You are the light, you are the light, you are the light. You are the light, yeah. You are, you are. Keep the clap going now. Say you are the light, you are the light, you are the light. Hey, 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 hey. You are the light, you are the light, you are the light. Oh, Spirit uncensored. I said you are the light, you are the light, you are the light. Oh, one last time. You are the light, you are the light, you are the light. Namaste.
Thank you so much. Before you all take off. Yeah, that's true. We are, Amy, I am going to ask you for another song. So think about what you want that to be while you sing it. So think about what that is. So I have a couple announcements for you. Places where you can go to be the light. One of those places is happy hour right after this. If you want to get to know each other and each other's lights at Los Amigos, if you have a phone, just put in Los Amigos. It's in Burbank, 2825 West Olive, which is like 2 blocks around the corner. They've got margaritas and Mexican food that's amazing, but if you're not a drinker, if you're a sober person, it's still not a bar place, it's like a restaurant. Maybe no one will get a margarita, who knows? Do you. That's what's after this. Secondly is, I'm going to call up Audra Nichole one more time. Well, actually, no, wait, for first. Can we have a round of applause for Amy? Amy is one of the reasons for why Spirit Uncensored is in Spirit Works, because at this next gen retreat, Amy said, I'm going to sing at your first one. And I was like, great. And Los Angeles also said, great. And I was like, oh, I need a bigger space. And so I called her and Clip kind of like a month before this and was like, can we kind of see how this is going gonna go, like maybe there might be 4 people there, I don't know how many people are gonna be there. We had 65 people at that first event. Guys, justified. And we're bringing an Uncensored spirit to Spirit Work. So it's been a wonderful collaboration. So thank you so much, Reverend Cliff, for allowing us to use the stage. Thank you to Jonathan for directing. He always volunteers our sound. Here's something to like myself. That's how he shares his life, is by bringing his gift of sound to us. So thank you so much for doing that. And also would like to thank Audra Nichole. Thank you for your to leave us with some other ways that we can shine our light. Come on up.
Thanks, Jen. I just thought I would. Karen keeps talking about this thing called Next Gen. Next Gen Retreat. And, that's not a thing. Oh, thanks. Thanks, John. So, what is Next Gen Retreat, for those of you who care?
Fucking amazing.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Can you say that again? We can hear you in the front.
Fucking amazing.
Fucking amazing. That's an end quote. Next Gen Retreat is an annual retreat for spiritual adults ages 18 to 35-ish. Emphasis on the ish.
Yes.
It is a premier international retreat. It is a 4-day retreat held in Northern California, in the middle of the redwood forest, on top of a mountain, at a Buddhist monastery with no Wi-Fi.
Or internet connection. You got like nothing up there.
Yeah, there's no Ethernet, there's no cell. There's actually one attendee, bless his heart. I don't know who his service provider is, and if I did, I wouldn't tell you. But he gets signal. He gets signal at one place, one point on the mountain. So if you really have an emergency, you gotta hit up Boston. So Next Gen Retreat was born by Reverend Abigail Shire, who is currently a minister at CSL Seattle. It was her baby, she birthed it, and I had the honor and privilege of attending the first year, after which I was invited to be on the leadership team, where I've been now for a few years. So Next Year Retreat has been going on, but this year is a profound year, because we are beginning to grow exponentially. This year we had our first year of 2 retreats. We actually did a meditative, silent retreat over New Year's. Yeah, it was very... The silent part didn't really... It was intended to be silent. There were moments of silence. But in true next-gen fashion, we really go with the flow. And I will say that over that retreat, we needed to not be silent.
Yeah.
But there were... Anyways, I digress. So we do 1-day retreats at different centers across the country. The website is nextgenretreat.org. We are growing and expanding in the organic ways that this group is asking for. Karen mentioned at the beginning of tonight that this group we call Next Gen is a minority in our movement. And it is painful and it is devastating, because at the rate that we're going, this teaching could die. And I don't want to see that happen. So Next Gen is an interesting group. They can be hard to get their attention and get them to commit and to stay. But the point is to have fun and to be authentic and unconditional, and that's what it is. So I just wanted to speak that. I wanted to let y'all know that I will be available for any questions or any other information.
Registration is open, and also Spirit Uncensored is going. We are going. So we can carpool together. If you need a scholarship, come talk to me, because I know the people in charge that can help pick it up. But we really want to be Spirit. Kristen Moore, who is another organizer of the event, really talked about how because Spirit Uncensored was birthed out of the retreat, that in a way, we are the first next-gen experience. And what that means is, that's why I love that you said 35-ish, is that we don't say how old anyone needs to be to show up for something, but I wear my spiritual gangster t-shirt on stage instead of my fancy dress, which I have to wear when I go to Bakersfield. So it's a space where I feel like I can express myself and no one's coming up to me after service and saying, I actually I like to call this an experience instead of service, but nobody comes up to me and says, why don't you wear a dress? I feel like you're not a real minister because you're in a spiritual gangster t-shirt versus other places where they do. It's not even an option. So this is a perfect representation of that what the retreat does is it gives leaders the tools to figure out how do you birth a new spiritual experience in a new way and be supported. And it wasn't even like specifically supported by Audra and Amy, it's God itself, but the divine idea came from Spirit Uncensored, and God spoke to these two and said, support her. And I appreciate the fact that
and I want to say a few words really quick about Next Gen too.
Yeah.
I was a musician there for 2 years, right? And both times I was profoundly, deeply moved, affected, grew bursts of spiritual growth. I was devastated that I couldn't be a musician every single year. In fact, I cried the first day of the second year to Audra, and I was like, I'm so upset. This hasn't even started, but I know I'm not going to be here next year, so I'm really pissed off. That's how much I love it. So, and as God would see it for me, I got hired that same weekend to be at Human Spirit, which is the first sort of queer, centric, New Thought gathering. So if you feel like you don't fit into the 30 up to 35 or whatever, you can look up that retreat as well. But the point is, like, there's just so many good things happening in that, and Next Gen is so special, so special. Treat yourself.
Treat yourself. Thank you for treating yourself to the service,
Yes.
to these women, to this divinity, to yourselves. And we will treat ourselves out to a treat from Amy. Thank you for agreeing to play a song out. I appreciate it so much.
Old time religion is the box I do not fit in. I am metaphysical, I am transcendent. Change a situation by changing your mind. Raise the vibration by knowing you are divine. Make a mental path, one step, breathe. I surrender to the presence of God in me. Make a mental path, one step, breathe. I am practicing the presence of the goddess in me. Oh. What do you believe? You've got to know your truth, your potential possibility. That is you. When you stand in opposition, you perpetuate the thing. What you resist, persistence or let be what you bring. Make a mental path, one step, repeat. I surrender to the presence of God in me. Make a mental path, one step, repeat. I'm practicing the presence of the goddess. Oh, make a mental path, one step, just do. Surrender to the presence of the God in you. Make a mental path, one step, just do. I'm practicing the presence of the goddess in you. Yeah. Follow your intuition and the passion that you got. Be pulled by your vision, don't get pushed by the thoughts. Everything experienced is energetic. So be aware of